everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about my Navy enlisted to Navy officer process. Basically, enlisted, your ranks go from E1 to E9, and then an officer, your ranks go from O1 or warrant 1 to O9, O10, depending on where we're at, peace times or war. So I applied for officer candidate school. So as all you guys know, you guys followed me on my MIPS journey about 6 years ago. I did join the Navy. I did make it through boot camp. I've been in the Navy about almost 7 years now, 6.5 years now. I am an E6. I'm a YN1. I'm a yeoman. Basically, I handle administration, but I used to be, I guess, a regular yeoman. Now I'm a flag rider. A flag rider is a yeoman that was deemed the best in their job, and they get to go to this special school for about 5 weeks, and you train to work for admirals and senior executive the services. It's basically for admirals, general officers, 07 and above, and SES, which have like a 1-star to 2-star, 3-star, 4-star equivalent. Surgeon General has a flag rider. The CNO has a flag rider. The CNP has a flag rider. I know this. It's just all amongst the ranks. 07 and above have flag riders typically. So basically, I decided I was going to apply for officer candidacy school once I made YN1, which is E6, when I realized I was going to be staying in the Navy because I just made the retirement rank at 6 years, which is, I think, pretty good. So I was still stationed in Hawaii, and I was attending university in Hawaii. So you see my diploma, my college diploma there, and my college banner there. So I was in Hawaii from 2018 July to 2021 March 12th. So I was only there for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years. I had never went to college before I got to Hawaii. That was my first time enrolling in Hawaii Pacific University, and I got my 4-year degree there. My GPA was a 3.78, granting me magna cum laude honors, which was a worthwhile investment. I was stressed out for 2.5 years. I got my degree in Bachelor of Science of Criminal Justice. I am a law fanatic. I am a civil rights fanatic. I am basically anything that empowers the human being fanatic. Also pro 2A fanatic, Second Amendment. So once I made E6 back in November of 20, I was like, okay, I got to start wrapping my head around what I'm going to do because I was supposed to get out. I decided I was going to stay, and I told my wife that I would apply for officer commissioning or officer candidate school one time. I said, if they pick me up, I'll stay in and I'll go. Fast forward to me going to the flag rider school in March while taking my last semester of college. We had a lot going on. We were moving our family. I was in Mississippi. She was in California. I was still in college taking my last 2 college classes, which were fucking insane. They were really hard. One was like logic, and the other was like a master's level law class, which is what I needed as well to be graduate on time. So I was taking a military course and a college course without my family, living out of a hotel for 2 months-ish, and getting ready to become a flag rider, which reports to an admiral, which it beats me by 12 ranks almost. So it's almost like working, any average civilian meeting the president. It's almost that kind of feeling. So I graduated the flag rider course on May 9th. And I was in Mississippi for that. My college graduation was on like May 7th. I missed my college graduation to graduate from the military course, so I couldn't fly home to Hawaii and go to my ceremony. I had to be present for my military graduation instead. So on the day that I graduated, I was actually moving into this house. My diploma hadn't even came yet. This desk was here, sort of just things like that. I had to just deal with it. I missed my college graduation, my first degree. And it kind of sucked. It did. It sucked a lot. But I knew that what I was going to be able to do with this degree was bigger than a commencement ceremony. So let's talk about the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about what we're here for. We're here for about Navy enlisted personnel applying for officer candidate school. So the first thing you want to do is you want to read OpNav 1420.1 Bravo. Okay? And OCS is Chapter 4. If memory serves me correct, it's Chapter 4. So once I realized I was going to apply because I had my degree and I knew this was my best chance at making it, I had just made E6, I had just got my degree, and I'm 25, so I'm young. And that's what the Navy wants. The Navy wants young officers and preferably some who have prior enlisted experience, because I've been on a ship before. I was on a ship for 3 years, and then I went to Hawaii and I did homeland defense and aviation. So, if I'm a board member, I'm thinking, I want this guy, I want someone like him. Or I want someone who's compatible in other areas like academics, diversity, those kind of big things. So the first thing I decided to do was let my admiral know. I told my boss, or my commanding officer, I said, sir, I want you to know that I'm thinking about applying for officer candidate school. I know I just got here, I've been on board less than a month, but if you could support me, that would be amazing. My admiral, the first thing he said was, yes. Why would we not support you? I want to get everybody where they want to be. That's his goal. He's one of the greatest mentors I've had. I've only known him for about 6 months. He's given me great books. He's given me an insane amount of knowledge. The networking he's helped me do, getting me in rooms with people that can, further shape the Navy for years to come. And he's not even a part of the designator that I'm flying for. So he's a great man. He's a really great man. So once I let my chain of command know, as an active duty sailor, as an enlisted sailor, especially me being a first class in E6, a lot of the legwork is on me. And it's something you have to realize. When you're an enlisted service member, we don't have recruiters like the civilians have. I have friends that are recruiters, and I ask them a few questions here and there, but most of them are enlisted recruiters, not officer recruiters. So you have to be very careful with the information that you receive. So all the information that you find, it's up to you to double check and verify that information. That was the hardest thing that I had to learn when I was doing my application. People are going to tell you 1,000 things. They're going to tell you how it was when they did it. And you got to remember, it's 2021. It's not 1999, so the program has changed over the years. There's just something that's just food for thought. The program has changed over the years. So I want to be a surface warfare officer. What does that mean? I want to go back to sea. That's what SWOs do. They live at sea. I want to be a commanding officer. I want to have people under my command, and I want to, operationally lead a float. I'm very big into tactical experience. I like war planning. I like the idea of just demonstrating show of force and actually using force at the time when it's actually time. So going to sea was something that I've done before, and I'm not particularly afraid of it. I was enlisted. I was in E3 all the way up to E5 on the boat. It can't get much worse than that. Than on the boat. Like I don't think being E5 and below on the boat is probably the worst part about being on the boat. So that doesn't scare me. A lot of people say, you want to be a surface warfare officer? Yes, I do want to be a surface warfare officer, and I'm proud to say that I want to be a surface warfare officer. You'll understand later on when you actually apply and people start making the jokes. So the first thing you got to do is get your degree. Get your degree, or be within, I think, a year or a semester. You got to read the instruction. See, I had already graduated, so that part didn't apply to me, so I didn't really read it. But you have to be at least able to prove you're on track to graduate within a certain amount of time, and you submit that with your application. Good, great, let's move on from that. Now let's talk about the OAR. The OAR is basically a GRE, or like the ASVAB, but for officers in the Navy. So I took the ASVAB before. I took the ASVAB with the Army because I wasn't really going to join, and I didn't realize the scores carry it over. So I think I got like a 61 or something. I didn't do so hot. I didn't do amazing on it. But as you know, it's an aptitude test. It's an adaptive test. The OAR as well as an adaptive test. I didn't know that until I was reading about it on my Mac here. I was looking it up, and the OAR is actually adapts and gets harder as you answer the questions. The OAR, if you're not going to be a pilot, breaks down into like 3 categories. Basically, one is like English comprehension, or basically, do you understand the words that you are reading? Or like Chris Tucker said, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Just like that. Okay, check that box. Number 2 is going to be like math or arithmetic. I think that's what it's actually called. The math actually ranges, and I'm good with math, but even I was scared. I'm like, wait, math? Like, why more math? So the math, I can basically say it ranges from like basic algebra to arithmetic. Like Sally had 3 lollipops and gave away 15. What's her deficit? Like those kind of questions. But then you quickly and very quickly move into geometry. Geometry, and if you're really good, you might see like one calculus question or something. I didn't see a calculus question, so I wasn't that good, trust me. So if you know me, I'm good at numbers, I'm good at math, but the one thing I hate is geometry. I can do geometry, but it scares the crap out of me. You know, it really does, especially like the quadrilateral, all that theory, Pythagorean's theory. Those kind of things really shake me up. So I didn't do a lot of studying. So I read online that they said you should study for 3 months before, take a prep course. I went on Amazon and I bought the OAR, the Amazon brand OAR book. And I studied for 2 days because I was already short fused. I wanted to get my application in. I had like a month to submit my application because I didn't realize the deadline was coming up so soon. So I had 2 days to study, and the only OAR day available was that one day, and I had to take it. So I studied for 2 days, and I could barely study. I was like watching YouTube. I was listening to I was cutting my son's hair, and I was listening to like other people's strategy on the OAR, all these different things, because I heard that's the part that will determine if you get a good score or not. Or if you get the score you need to qualify for your program. Your program has a program authorization, whether you want to be a SWO pilot or construction officer, AMDO, there's a program authorization that tells you what's exactly required for your program. I highly encourage you to get on My Navy HR, go to the OCS tab, or go to the OCS website, and you can find all that information there. Great. So the math was what was psyching me out. And then after the math section, there is a science mechanical section, which is fine. If you're not a mechanic like me, I'm an administrator. I've been an administrator my entire life. I'm only 25. I've been in the Navy 6.5 years. I joined at 18. I'm a fucking administrator. So I have no mechanic skills. So I'm reading up like all this buoyancy, kinetic energy, how to convert voltage into speed, and all these, if a body in motion stays in motion. It's Newton's theory. It's a lot of that. So in turn, in theory, I'll answer more questions on the OAR as you guys ask me, because I do have a really good memory. I still can tell you like what I ate on the 3rd day in boot camp. That's how good my memory is. So if you guys have more questions about the OAR, we can deep dive that. I can give you guys my study habits and what I use to learn very quick. I use flashcards, Khan Academy, and that book I got from Amazon. If required, I'll drop a link on that. And then the mechanical part is just either you know it or you don't. Some people are they can naturally look at mechanics and distribute weight and things like that. I have common sense. Like, I just have common sense. So I can tell you if something's going to be too heavy for something, but there is no scientific process that takes place in my head. Not at all. So I went and took the OAR at my officer recruiting station here in Washington, D.C., because I just moved to D.C. in May. So I went ahead and did that. The OAR, they say, takes you about 2 hours. I finished my OAR in 43 minutes. But mind you, it's an adaptive test. So it adapts as you answer. So if you answer questions correct, the next question's probably going to be harder. If you answer a question wrong, like 2 to 3 questions wrong back to back, they're going to move it down to your skill level to gauge a better aptitude of where you are. So 43 minutes, the officer recruiter told me that's good. That means you knew what you knew and you knew what you didn't know. And I got the score that I needed. So like instantly, so I think I cut like a 50 or something. And I was like paranoid. I said, I don't think I got the score I needed. And he said, no, you got the score. He said, you're good. You got the score you needed. I came home. The first thing I did was look at my program authorization, because you're going to hear me say that a lot. I looked at my program authorization, and there it was. It was still there. The numbers that I needed, which was like a 42, and I was good. And I was so relieved. And then I was like, oh crap, I got to do the medical stuff. There's a medical portion for active duty service members that civilians usually take care of at MEPS. We don't have the luxury of going to MEPS when you're on active duty. You have to get with your PCM and go to your MTF, which is your medical treatment facility. And your PCM is your primary care manager, which is your doctor, and do like a 2701, a 2702. And those kind of things will stress you out. Don't let the medical portion stress you out. If you communicate with medical that you're applying for a commissioning program, they will do everything in their power to get it done as fast as possible. And that concerned me because I thought they weren't going to do it. I kind of thought I was getting the runaround. So basically every physical thing you did to join the Navy, you're going to do again, because you're actually applying to join the Navy again as an officer. So you're going through the same MEPS-like process with your PCM. So I went ahead and did that, did a little duck walk, got a physical, got my rectum looked at, blood draw, drug test, same thing that we do on the regular Navy anyway, HIV screening, tuberculosis screening. Great. So once you knock the medical and dental portion out, you're good to go. That should take you about 2 weeks if you're not on a ship. If you're on a ship, it could be done in as early as 2 days, because you have medical and dental right there on the ship. So that's great for you guys. So from there, now it's time to build this package. You're going to need your last 5 evals-ish. I think it's your last 5. You're going to need a personal statement. The personal statement was the trickiest part because you, as an active duty person, you only get like 250 words. Vice civilians, they get a page and a half. They get 1,500 words. So you have to capture your experience, qualifications, and why you deserve to be a commissioned officer in the United States Navy as fast as you can in this 250 words. And you don't want to just say because I want to be a commissioned officer and it's for more money. You actually want to make sure you're selling yourself to this board because they don't know you. It's a panel of random people. So I highly recommend you getting at least a 05 commander, SWO, or whatever designator you're going into mentor, 05 or 04 at a minimum, to tell you what the board is looking for, because 9 times out of 10, they have set these boards, and that's the great part about it. One of my mentors hadn't set a board, but he had a friend who had set a board, and he just kind of took that gouge and passed it on to his mentees, and it worked out great. So my personal statement, I think I worked on my personal statement all the way up until the day I submitted my package. Like, the morning of I was submitting my package, I was still changing my personal statement because I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to sell myself, and I wanted them to know how much this commissioning opportunity would mean to me. I can't say what it would mean to you. I can tell you right now, if you don't want it, you don't want it, and they're gonna know it. They're gonna know it. If you think you want it, or if you don't want it, but you have potential to want it, or you don't know if you want it, still apply. Because if you just don't know, you could be too young. Another guy that I probably was 18 years old. He didn't not want to be a commissioned officer, but he didn't know what he wanted to do yet. And I said, well, you should apply anyway, because this could help shape your mind into what you actually want to do. So once you get your personal statement worked out, it's going to ask you, the application has like general information, last duty stations, roles held. Like for me, on my aircraft carrier, I was on Theodore Roosevelt CVN 71 from 2015 to 2018. I was in engineering department as their yeoman for all 3 years. So I had engineering leading petty officer for 2 years as a second class. I made second class. I made E5 at 1 year in the Navy. So I was already an LPO. So I already had experienced leadership on the boat within my first 3 years of service. Great. Then I went to Hawaii and I was independent duty at a command as the only yeoman. So even though I wasn't an LPO and I wasn't leading sailors, I was independent duty running my own administrative office. So my eval said administrative LPO or administrative independent duty, like that. And like on the boat, my eval said LPO as well. Great. Now, those are the only evals I've had. I had only been in 5-ish years. So it's the last 3 years of evals for the board. So I only have been in 5 years. So those were literally all the evals I had. And I have pretty good evals. I'm pretty much an EP. So I think I have 1 MP. But I've never had a P in my career. So that actually helped in my eval write-ups. Thank God to a retired Commander Jeff Shipman, retired Master Chief Mark Gear, engineering types. They both made sure my evals always said, put this sailor in a wardroom. All my evals recommendations say commission this sailor now. So every eval I submitted to the board since I was a YN3 or a YN2 said commission this sailor now. And that's what I tell my mentees. If you know you want to be an officer at some point, your eval should reflect that for the last 4 years. It shouldn't just say it on the day you wake up. It should always say that this sailor should be an officer. I've always carried myself that I was interested in officership or senior leadership or just overall big Navy picture. So a lot of my evals already said officer. So I think my package was the ideal package because it made things a lot easier for the board because I had commanders, captains, and admirals saying, this guy's ready to be an officer. So let's move on from evals, because if your evals don't read the right way, that's fine. You have a chance to explain that because they're not picking an enlisted sailor to be a commissioned officer. That's not the purpose. The purpose is for them to pick people who are going to be great commissioned officers. So minus of what your record may say, they can figure it out on how they want to do it. So what I did next was once I got my evals and my personal statement, quote unquote, out of the way, you have to start interviewing with other candidates, not candidates per se, mentors and people that are going to sign off. So I had 5 recommendations. So one was a prior OIC. He went FTS. He was a pilot, great guy. We did an interview, gave me an amazing recommendation, which is called an appraisal for us enlisted personnel. I had a SWO that I served with back in 2015 when I was on the boat, and I wanted to apply for this program called Stay 21, which they send you to college for, and then you commission afterwards. So he was my mentor back then, trying to get me to that program, and I couldn't commit. So he was more than proud to sign off on my application this time, knowing that I was qualified, had my degree, a competitive service record, so that made it easier for him. I had a friend who's an 05 in the Army give me an interview and appraise me. He was very unbiased. It was great, and I really appreciated him for that. That's my friend till this day. And I had another 05 surface warfare officer that I served with on the Theodore Roosevelt. He was our damage control assistant. I asked him for a recommendation. And your recommendations want to talk about what you're going to do as an officer. They don't want to talk about how good of a sailor you were or how you stood the best watch. If there was something that you did profound in knowing that officer, great, they can mention it. So one of my officers mentioned that I'm damage control training team qualified, and that I trained division officers, I trained chiefs, I trained senior enlisted personnel and junior officers on how to safely fight the ship, keep the ship safe. That was great for me because that damage control as a surface warfare officer, saving the ship, our life is the ship. So that just improved my package as well. So you want them to talk about beyond division officer. That's what you want to ask them. That's a lot to ask any commissioned officer. Can you talk about me as a department head? Don't call me a divo. The Navy's done with the phase of getting people in to just be divos, especially in my community that I'm going into. They need people that want to stick around, be department heads, XOs, CEOs, and so forth. So that's just something to wrap your head around when you look into your designator. Don't just look for the money or just getting into the 01 to 03 range. See what happens after 04, lieutenant commander and beyond. The other day I was on my Navy HR, and I was just going through all the SWO 1160, 1110, future officer, CO, pipeline, weapons training instructor, all these different programs and pipelines that SWOs can deter off into. Know your program because your appraisers are going to ask you. They're going to ask you more than divo questions. I got asked department head level questions. And I can tell you moving forward, those are the questions that I will be implementing when I am trying to get sailors into the wardroom as well. You want to make sure that you are looking beyond your division officer tours. And I had a mentor tell me that. So my recommendation letters all talked about me being a department head and screening for CO. My eval I just received said screen for department head, and I'm still enlisted, So those are the kind of things that the board's looking for. They're looking for senior officers to put you in rooms that you're not even qualified for yet, because that means they see the potential in you in those rooms. And I had to wrap my mind around that, so I'm going to ask you to do the same. Copy. So once you get those appraisals knocked out, and if you have questions in regards to appraisals, comment, shoot me a message. I'm going to drop all my contact information on here. I help people regardless. I want to see everybody get to where they want to be. If you want to be there, then you should be there. As long as you're qualified, honest, and going to do the right thing, let's get you there. So once you get away from that, you got the application is going to ask for simple things like qualifications. So were you on a boat? Did you get your ESWAS? Did you get your air pen? Did you get your IW pen? Did you get your EXW pen? Or did you get your SEAL team, your Trident if you're a SEAL? Whatever community that's your primary pen, did you get qualified in your surface or your primary area of platform? That's what you got to think about as well. You don't want to be shown as complacent in your platform. So I always want to show upward progression no matter what. Copy. If you have time, volunteering. I did a lot of volunteering in Hawaii. I'm a Master Mason and Noble Shriner, so we did a lot of things there that also counted towards me as volunteering. So I put those in my application as well. Anything is volunteering. Beach cleanups, JEA, CSAD, FCPOA, CPOA associations. I know chiefs apply for OCS as well. Just anything that you did that gave back to the community and benefited someone other than yourself, that didn't give you any monetary gain, you can put that in your application. So all those things matter. They're gonna talk about awards. Do you have any awards? I'm super junior. I've been in the Navy fucking 6 years, so I have 2 NAMs and a flock. So I didn't have as many awards as everybody else, but I just listed my awards, what they were for: Junior Sailor of the Quarter, Junior Sailor of the Year, those kind of things. Security clearance, security investigations. good to go. So now the part that we're at now, we're wrapping up the package. Once you get all your stuff done, and once you qualify for the program by having your OAR, your degree, and any age or time in service waivers, because maybe you're 31 and you can still apply, just apply for a waiver. Maybe you've been in the Navy for more than 10 years and the program you're applying for says 8 years. Your program authorization is going to tell you what's required of you if you're over a certain amount of years of service. One of my very good friends, she just got picked up for the same designator I got picked up for, and she required an age waiver and a time and service waiver. So they're possible, they're doable. I highly recommend getting on Air Warriors and going to the Navy OCS tab. There's a lot of us on there. We answer all kind of questions. We give all kind of gouge. Some people even put their applications on there, so you can see them. I've reviewed several personal statements. I've reviewed several things to help sailors get themselves to the board. We're going to get to the board portion. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Copy. So once you wrap up all that administrative stuff of the application, you have to make sure it's in fine detail, because then you're going to route it up your chain of command, probably through your ESO. At my command, we don't have an ESO because it's a flag office, so we just have a chief of staff. So I gave it to him. He reviewed it, gave me a recommendation letter, and then we pushed it to my admiral. So once it goes to my admiral wrote his recommendation, per se, and then he signed it, and then he gave me back the package, and I sent it off to Mr. Paul Celestin. Mr. Paul Celestin is the active duty coordinator for us to apply for OCS. He's reachable by email, phone. Guy's a great communicator, but he's the only person doing it for all fleet applicants. So please keep in mind, he's pretty busy. So you can't just, he usually gets back to you in about 1 to 2 days via email, which is good in the Navy. You guys know some people respond after 7 days. So once you do that, it'll go to him, he'll screen it, you'll get your medical PQ letter, which means you're qualified to apply, and then you'll get your confirmation that it's been received and is going to the next available board. So that's when you go to the board schedule, which you can find on My Navy HR, and see when your board is convening. My board convened on August 16th. If you're an active duty service member, you can see the at board list, which means if your package made it to a certain board, about a week before that board convenes. My board convened on August 16th. The at board list came out late. It actually came out on August 16th, which my birthday was August 15th, and I saw my name on the list. So I was super excited. The board convened. It was super quiet. We were all panicking on Air Warriors, like super nervous. 261 of us applied, and 170 of us got picked up, I believe. So that's a really good pickup rate. But basically, we submitted on August. I submitted my application on July 4th. I remember July 3rd or 4th, and the board met on August 16th. The results came out. Well, I knew. You're not supposed to know, but I knew 3 days before my command found out. But I found out officially on like September 15th or 17th. But I knew on September 13th, which was my son's birthday, I knew that day someone sent me the letter, the actual letter that got signed off at the board, and they sent it to me. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm getting commissioned. So it was my son's birthday, and I found out I was getting commissioned. We had a great dinner. My wife and I had a few drinks. She's been super supportive through this process, and she knows that being a SWO is very hard. So I just thank her. I thank my kids for being so optimistic and okay with me being gone. It's just a hard knock life. Let's just put it like that. So from that point, once you find out, you're just waiting to negotiate wherein you're going to depart. Originally, I wanted to depart in January of 2022. But due to the availabilities, I'm not departing. My class is up in March of 2022. But so does my friend, who's also going, which is going to be great because we're both going to be SWOs together. I'm going to be a SWO daddy. She's going to be a SWO mama. Or as some people say, we're going to be SWOtivated, which is like motivated. But overall, the experience was quick. Mine was a bit rushed. But I can tell you, if you're determined, you can get it done. It was one of the most interesting things I've done. Just having the help and seeing people that want to see you succeed, it'll change you for the better. It'll make you better, especially if you've had some of the experiences that I've had in the Navy where they're not always the best, or you always didn't feel like things were fair or equal. And I think we all know what that's like. So once you get there and you know what's coming, it just kind of changes you, and it makes you want to help others and help those that are coming behind you. You know, when my friends are asking me, how do I commission? How do I do this? And I'm doing my best to help them. I'm providing them with as much information as I can. The same information I'm willing to provide anyone, everyone about commissioning. I think that I captured almost everything. I'm pretty sure I captured almost all of it. If I missed anything, please let me know. And I'll get back to you guys. I know the one thing everybody's gonna ask, because that's the only question I get, is how did I make rank so fast? I'm gonna explain it to you. I joined the Navy as an E1, just like everybody else. When I went to boot camp, I passed the depth test and I got advanced to E2. While I was in boot camp, I was also the laundry petty officer, so they advanced me to E3. Once I went to Mississippi for A school, I was top of my class, so I got advanced to E4. That timing worked out great because 6 months later, it was time for the second class exam, the E5 exam, and I took the test and I made the E5 exam first time up. So I was an E5 at 1 year. Once I got to Hawaii, I took the first class exam 2 times, didn't make it, and I was extremely sad. But the third time I took it, I made it, and I was at 5 years and some change when I made E6. And that's how I made rank. And all I did was commit. I didn't give up. And I just believed in myself, and I knew that I had to do it because I wanted it. And when you want it, you can do anything. So thank you guys for stopping by my channel today. I know I've been gone for 6 fucking years. I read the comments on my other video, and they're like, what happened to this guy? This guy's still in the Navy, and this guy's going to be a commissioned officer, and this guy is going to help you get there as well. Like, comment, subscribe, ask your questions. I look forward to talking to you guys again.